Okay, my name is Justice Garner, and for data point 3, I will be answering two questions. The first question is, what do you know to be true about assessing and teaching reading? And then the second question is, how can teachers use an IRI to assess the 5 pillars of reading? So first, when you are with a student and they are learning to read, you have to start with reading. You can't assess a student before they have learned how to read. So when you teach them how to read, you should start focusing on the 5 pillars of reading, which are phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency. You start there, and you start with seeing how they pronounce the words that they're doing. You do the where they sound out the words as well. That way they can learn the word, learn what it means, and learn how to say it. Once you are done doing that is when you start to assess the student with their reading. Assessing has a lot to do with comprehension, not just on a do they understand it level, but do they really understand the sentence as a whole, the sentence structure, and then just the formatting of how to read a sentence and write a sentence eventually. This will move on to the second question, which is about teachers using IRI to assess the 5 pillars of reading. I already introduced the 5 pillars of reading, but when we are looking at those, an IRI, which is an informal way of testing one's ability to read, looking at the 5 pillars will really show you where the student is at on an individual level and an instructional level, and then where they will need help on. So by giving them a passage to read, where you just give them the passage, have them answer a few questions, you'll be able to see their comprehension. If you have them read the passage out to you, then you can see other things such as their phonemic awareness and then their use of phonics. Vocabulary you can see when you do a spelling test, or also when you're doing the passage, just to see how they pronounce a word. And vocabulary and comprehension have a lot to do with one another, as well as fluency. Like the word read, if a student is reading it as read, but it's meant to be read as read, it could throw off the answer choices that they have later on. So, for example, if a student's lacking in comprehension, but is getting help with his peers, like if they're doing a spelling test or like a word test, they're doing a word test and the sentence, they have to explain what the sentence means, but he's looking over at his partner, then he's not really comprehending it. So if you do an IRI where you put little dividers up so they're only focused on their own paper, then you can really see where the student is and the levels of everybody in your classroom.